Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and I was riding a donkey the other day when someone threw a rock at me and I fell off. I guess I was stoned off my ass. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called No Rest for the Wicked, an action RPG game developed by Moon Studios, who you know from Ori and the Blind Forest and others, published by Private Division, who also published such games as The Outer Worlds and Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey. Pretty great history there. Good looking resume. That makes me a little bit excited for this. Released in early access and selling for $40. So basically in this game you are what they call a Serim, which is basically a badass holy warrior with special powers sworn to defeat this evil plague thing. You're on a ship heading somewhere when suddenly it's attacked and you find yourself shipwrecked somewhere else. Classic. Now you're just journeying around killing bad guys. There is story here about an evil presence spreading which supposedly you're supposed to stop, and one kingdom is evading another kingdom because of this or something. It wasn't explained much in my playthrough, but still, interesting enough and it's there. Anyway, as always, let's go into the good and the bad, followed by my final thoughts, alright? Alright, so up first is the positives, and the first positive is look at this game. Look at how good it looks. It's so pretty. The color contrast, the attention to detail, the lighting, and the effects, it's all so cool. The game is simply beautiful to look at. I can't gush enough about how good it looks. The shadows, the water physics, and the motions and fluidity of the characters and the random elemental effects across the map are all really well done, as well as the hand-drawn art that you'll find in cutscenes and scattered about. Really good looking. Next up for the positives is the sound design. The game sounds great. The music is really well done. It fits each theme and situation and really helps set the mood for what it is that you're currently looking at. Also, it blends into the background nicely and doesn't become distracting or overbearing. Then you've got the voice acting, which is phenomenal, by the way. It's just really well done.
Long live the king. He was a great man and a good friend. I will mourn him.
We will all mourn him. Your father's soul is at rest now, King Magnus. The people look to you for strength.
Now I love me some good voice actors. Then there's the sound effects of the ship, the ambiance, the clashing of metal on metal during combat, the other effects like campfires, waves on the rocks, and more. It all sounds just really good, and again, it helps immerse you in the world even further while you're playing. Next up for the positives is the writing and the creativity. The world is unique, the characters are interesting, the writing is fairly well done with an interesting idea, none of it felt cringy or cliche, and overall it was just a pleasant, dark experience. The story of the game is also engaging. Despite there not being much for your character right now in the beginning, what was there was still pretty fun to experience, because you get these little cutscenes and you get these dialogue bits and all this kind of mystery, and you can feel this dark kind of just world that you're playing in, and it was interesting. The next positive that I want to make a brief mention of is the online co-op. That's right, if you want to play this with a buddy or two, you can. The game supports up to 4 players total. That's perfect. Now me, my wife, my brother, and my mother, who's a huge Diablo fan, can play this game together. And the last positive I want to talk about is the gameplay, which will also be in the negatives. In this game, you use WASD to move, not click to move. You click to attack, left click, and holding left click is 2 types of attacks, and right click is a special attack skill. You can parry by using the middle mouse button, block by holding left control, shift with sprint, etc. The key bindings are a little off-putting, as I feel they should be something else, but that's more in the negatives. For now, you walk around killing baddies. You have to fully engage each person, kind of like Dark Souls. Even the low-ranking level 1 guys will kill you if you don't take them seriously. But unlike Dark Souls, when you die and come back, your enemies don't come back, you don't lose experience, and you don't lose much progress. Along with being able to shimmy around things, climb and jump, sneak and stealth attack enemies like assassinations. You can jump from things and climb things as you explore these maps. You can also mine, cook, craft, and hell, you can even fish. You want to collect these materials so that you can craft different gear for your character and cook meals which heal you, kind of like in The Witcher 3. You traverse through these linear levels, exploring every inch and killing every bad guy as you make your way deeper and deeper into the interesting story. Now the combat, as I briefly mentioned earlier, it's pretty complicated. Like, you have to block enemies at the right time, parry their attacks at the right time. You can use your own combo attacks and chain attacks to do more damage to them, possibly even knocking them over. You have a stamina bar during combat that you'll need to manage along with your health bar, and then you've got the durability of your gear. If you die too much, and it'll need to be repaired, otherwise it gives you nothing. There's also an intricate character screen for finding out levels, stats, skills, and more. But that's all I got to say about the good of this game. Now we got to go into the not so good. But before that, please do me a favor and consider supporting the growth of my channel. Smaller YouTubers like me don't really get advertised very well on YouTube. The only way that happens is if we get more views, so kind of a paradox. Weird, right? Anyway, if you found this video entertaining or at least informative, then please consider supporting me by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel. Thank you. Now then, the first negative I want to bring up is the tutorial. It's barely there, barely teaches you past the first 20 minutes, and all it really teaches you is how to fight and how to move around and why resources are important, but it doesn't really help you navigate, and it doesn't really teach you a whole lot more about the game's mechanics after that. Don't get me wrong, I more or less knew what I was doing after my first hour, but still there were some things still unexplained to me or still just a little confusing to me. It just needs a little bit more to be good. Like, it's definitely not the worst tutorial, and probably the smallest negative, barely worth mentioning, but still, I felt I had to. Next up for the negatives is the user interface. It's got a lot of problems, so buckle in. First off, you can't rebind the keys, so if the controls feel awkward, then you better just suck it up and move on and learn these weird ones quick because you can't change them. I hate it when games do that. You can't adjust your UI at all either. There's no camera rotation at all that you can manually control, which can make the camera angles annoying and frustrating. There's no ultra-wide support either. Some of the mechanics of the game need work too. For instance, your character moves slower than molasses. You can make them sprint, which you'll obviously do, but his sprint is tied to his attack. And since your character has stamina during combat and can't do anything without stamina, this quickly becomes an issue. While sprinting, if you then attack, like you're sprinting towards an enemy and then you click to attack, it'll drain like half your stamina. It doesn't do enough damage to be worth it, but he moves so slow that you'll be sprinting constantly and then attacking, thus draining all your stamina, thus leaving you to get killed very quickly. So basically, the main mode of travel that you'll be using hinders your ability to fight in every situation. It was just very poorly designed in my opinion. And there are other things like that as well. The next thing I wanted to make mention of is the gameplay. The combat is definitely intense and diverse as well as intricate and complex. However, it's almost too much so. The combat is insanely difficult. In my first hour of gameplay, I probably died a dozen times. Think about that. First hour, 60 minutes, I died a dozen times. That's about twice every 10 minutes. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the best gamer or anything, but I am experienced with games, especially games like this, and I should not be dying this much. And it's all due to the fact that the combat is just a bit too intricate and too closely tied to that damn stamina bar, and the stamina bar is just designed so poorly. I died mostly because of the stamina and the unfair nature of the combat. For instance, you get staggered whenever you get hit by an enemy, but whenever you hit the enemies, they don't get staggered. What's up with that? The enemies don't seem to have stamina either. They can just keep attacking you, but you do have stamina. Also, I thought this was an action RPG. Doesn't that normally mean a kind of hack and slash kind of environment? Well, even if not, this combat still needs some work. Like, I don't want to be stuck on level 1 for 3 hours because I can't beat this one level 2 enemy, and I'm level 3. He's not even a boss. He's just a guy with a large axe. Your character dodges slowly, he moves slowly, attacks slowly, heals slowly, and just does everything slowly while the enemies are twice as fast. You can't dodge the fireball or the fire alchemist thing because he throws it much faster than you can dodge it. You can't interrupt that guy's attacks because he changes speeds with each of his different attacks. I'm sorry, but I don't want to spend 5 minutes studying every single level 1 enemy type before I get the ability to kill them. I'm not playing Dark Souls. Even after leveling up, learning the game, getting better at timing and combat, I was still struggling with level 1 enemies due to the awkward, slow nature of the combat. Last but not least for the negatives is the stability. For the most part, the game did play it well. It didn't glitch or stutter or freeze, but for about 1/3 of my playthrough, the frame rate would just drop randomly to a really slow level, or the game would freeze, or it would have an audio glitch or something, but the scariest is what it was doing to the innards of my PC. Due to, I guess, extremely high PC processing, it was burning my computer up like crazy, which makes me concerned that this game might actually kill my brand new computer. Alright, so that's all I got to say about the positives and the negatives of the game. What are my final thoughts? Well, it's kind of tricky because for all intents and purposes, the game is great. It looks great, sounds great, and for the most part, it plays great. However, with the dipping in and out of stable gameplay, the obviously unfair combat, the very slow nature of the game itself, along with that price tag for an early access game, and I've got mixed feelings about it. Like, the mixed reviews on Steam are very valid here for once. I think, in my own opinion, if you have someone to play with, this game is freaking awesome. In fact, I'm actually going to ask my brother to play this with me. However, if he won't or can't, then I just don't see myself keeping this game. As of this moment, the game is almost worth its asking price. They need to make combat a little bit more easy and a little bit more fluid. They need to speed up the character's actions and the character himself. They need to stabilize the game. They do these things, and this game will be something incredible. I love the crafting and foraging and gathering and exploring. The combat is fun and challenging at times when it's not being unfair. The maps are amazingly well crafted, as is the rest of the graphics in this game, with a diverse and open-ended theme of customizing your character to play the way you want as you level up, along with customizing their looks. I mean, there's just so much good here, but the bad that's here almost makes me wonder if it's not even worth it. I suppose for now, in its current state as of this moment, I would have to say pass on this one. But just put it on your wish list and wait until it's fully released, and then come take another look at it and see if they made some of these fixes. There's so much good here that I hate to say that, but the bad that is here, it's just making that $40 price tag make it not worth it. Again, if you do have a few friends to play with, you might be able to get a lot of fun out of this, but if you don't, definitely wait until the game finishes development. Alright everybody? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.